Hello, it is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you. I am back today from Ottawa. And again, thanks to those of you who are offering your condolences. It is good to be back in St. Stephen and getting into the weeds on everything that is happening right here at home. I gotta say, I am holding in my hands here the audited statement of financial position for St. Stephen from 2024. The current audit is being done now for 2025. The reason why I'm saying that is because coming off of yesterday's treasurer report, the video where I talked about borrowing and how that works, I was tempted to go down this rabbit trail again, like I do sometimes, because there's so much to explain about the workings of the municipal district of St. Stephen, if you're interested in that. I decided to shelve this today, get back to it, even though it would kind of dovetail nicely with the treasurer's report, so you can understand our financial position. And as mayor, how I believe that fiscal responsibility is absolutely crucial, especially making sure that we have surpluses every year to pay for infrastructure that wears out. Remember, every meter of pipe we put down and pavement we put down does have to be replaced over and over and over again, as long as the municipal district of St. Stephen exists. So that's the kind of thing you have to be careful of fiscally and financially. And I just want to explain that to you. And again, you need to make sure that your mayor understands all that when it comes to taxes and borrowing and managing the budget. Of course, the CAO and the treasurer have input in this with the help of the Southwest Service Commission. There's many minds at work here, but the mayor needs to understand this because the council decides what and the staff decides how, right? And we have lots of consultants and people working on it. But when your council is making decisions and passes bylaws and resolutions, this will affect not only our lives now, but off in the future. I'm getting into that video already, the one I said I'm not going to do. Let's spend the next couple of days finishing out the committee of the whole meeting last week. So here's the agenda. I'm going to kind of reverse a couple of items on here. We are talking about the Southwest Service Commission report and then the Future St. Stephen report. I want to start with the Future St. Stephen report because it will help. It'll make sense when I talk about the Southwest Service Commission report and some of the financial declarations that were made in there by the planning director. So I want to talk about Future St. Stephen. Remember, Future St. Stephen is the economic development agency of the municipal district of St. Stephen. David Purcell is the interim president right now. And so he talked about in the meeting, he was there virtually from off location. He'll be returning to St. Stephen, but they are looking for and about to potentially hire a new president, one-year contract in the vacancy that has arisen from the previous president. And so he did discuss that they are close to that. Now, they talked about a couple of subcommittees that are being formed by the board for this coming fiscal year with 3 priorities. Remember, Future St. Stephen does have several priorities, kind of a mandate that the municipal district of St. Stephen wants to continually be in development, and Future St. Stephen fulfills that mandate by looking for opportunities and attracting business and activity related to housing, population retention, strengthening the business park, small businesses and commercial business growth, and then tourism. So those are the 5 major sectors that they are always looking at developing. Let me go back here because I'm reading off of the minutes, and I'll put the links for the, not the minutes, the report, and I'll put that link in the description if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. But they put a subcommittee together for the business park expansion. Remember, that is part of their mandate. So always looking to attract new businesses to the business park, which is over by Aruco. If you've never been there, I bring my cans and bottles to the Can and Bottle Depot there, Charlotte County Can and Bottle Depot there. So I've been there many times. But that is where our kind of commercial and industrial businesses are. And we want to see that thriving because that's a great source of employment and tax revenue and things like that. So it's important for the municipal district of St. Stephen to be attracting businesses that can go in, can come here, and the business park is a location. If somebody wanted to open a business, you need to say, oh, we have perfect zoning, we have the land for that, that can service your business. So they are going to be focusing on that in the coming fiscal year. They're going to be focusing on housing and tourism retention. Which is perfect because as mayor, I've said housing is my number one priority. Housing for all. We need to see, of course, the boarded up former Sunshine properties revitalized. I'd love to see affordable housing be given first right of refusal for a lot of these properties. We do have places like the Dock going in, which is wonderful. There will be some affordable units in there. We want to see bridge housing, which is a supervised participation program for people who are unhoused going in. And of course, we'd like to see more apartment developments. Just for more housing in general. So people who want to live in St. Stephen can stay in St. Stephen, because what we are ultimately seeing is a lot of people being forced out from being unable to find renting or a home to purchase. So as mayor, I would love to guide our council in that direction. Future St. Stephen is setting that as a priority for the coming fiscal year. And tourism, working along with regional associations to support tourism in the area. And so that is something that they will be focusing on as well, because tourism dollars do increase the wealth of the community, and we want to be a part of that. In terms of housing, Future St. Stephen does reach out to developers. I mentioned that in the previous report last month, but there has been interest in the extension of the Bud Avenue property. So I did mention that right now where we have the Beacon Apartments, we talked about this in the budgeting earlier. You saw that there was the extension of the Bud Avenue road. That's the road that right now kind of goes past the Garcelon Civic Center and the Beacon Apartments. If we want to see housing on, again, what I've called the most beautiful, ideal real estate in St. Stephen, the other side of that, if you're walking on the path, you see that abandoned kind of corner lot that overlooks the river. It's gorgeous. If we want to see development there, the municipality will have to service that with, pipes and pavement, as we say. And that is going to cost all of us taxpayers. So what you have to do is make sure that there's enough units in there generating enough tax revenue to recoup the pipes and the pavement that will go on the Bud Avenue extension. So those are discussions, of course, that are the purview of council and budgeting. But right now for Future St. Stephen, what they want to do is see if there's any interested developers. They're doing that. And there's an interest shown on Church Street, it says here, which is Future St. Stephen property. Future St. Stephen does own some land and can decide what to do with that if they can attract a developer. Now, there's things about the development projects here, the Border Arena coming down, and of course that has happened. And here's just kind of one of those feel-good things that Tressa Bevington, who is owner of the developer right now, the Dock Apartments, wants to really appreciates the collaboration with a couple of local construction companies, Cloney Construction and Pine Grove Construction, PGC. You'll see their trucks and their work happening all over the municipality. And so we're thankful to them as well. Always great to use local, and we're grateful that the builder here is choosing local jobs, local businesses. As we mentioned with the truck purchase and things like that, this can be a hot button issue, but we want to support local whenever we can. So that is happening, the Dock Apartment. And then the hotel project, you'll notice the sign just went up. It's in the report. The sign will go up. That has gone up with the Amsterdam Inn and Suite sign saying coming soon. So again, there's still some believe it when I see it folks who've been jaded and burned by this project so many times, but there it is. And then a really interesting initiative that I talked with David about is the Future St. Stephen subcommittee. There's another subcommittee that would like to see an initiative working with St. Stephen High School students to connect students with local trade and career opportunities. Again, whether that's in the trades, whether that's in accounting, can we make St. Stephen High School students familiar with the opportunities and the kind of work that are happening right here in the municipal district of St. Stephen. So again, as someone who with a teaching background and my professional experience myself, I'm super interested in this. I love clearly teaching civics and engaging all ages, but if we can continue to engage younger people, that is an absolute asset. I have a daughter going into high school next year, and so I love engaging that age group. And of course, ultimately, we want to make it possible for if somebody wants to remain in St. Stephen, can they get educated and can they find employment right here in St. Stephen? So excited for this initiative that Future St. Stephen is showing, engaging local students. All right, so then we move on now to the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission. Alex Henderson, the senior planner, was there, and the planning director was there, and this is why I wanted to talk about this second, because the municipal planning update, one thing that they do in their update, of course, Southwest Service Commission is kind of a shared resource throughout the region that we put into, and they provide planning services, among many other things, shared costs, but things like, waste disposal and the landfill and things like that. It's just more economically viable when all the municipalities are pooling together their funds to pay into the services that the Southwest Service Commission provides. And of course, this is all across New Brunswick through the regional service commissions. Now, a couple of planning updates, and I just wanted to shed light on this because this is an example of neighbors working together. A development officer variance was approved. So the first thing is for 163 King Street, the dock site, to a variance. So a variance is when something is zoned according to a certain specification. Somebody can apply for a variance, which means can we, on a kind of one-time, this time, special time basis, change the zoning requirements just for this piece of property. So there's a couple of variances that were issued here. The first was the dock. A variance was issued to the dock apartments to account for noise, kind of offsetting some of the frontage there for the position of the building, but also to make space for a potential commercial development closer to King Street. This is really important because I'm going to keep saying it. When we can infill, when we can intensify and densify any sort of development, that's better for all of us in the municipality as taxpayers, because again, pavement and pipes cost money, the hookup costs money, but when you can maximize the amount of tax revenue being generated on a site, on a property, then that is good for the entire municipality. So that's not going to happen tomorrow. That would be a longer term plan when you have the apartment set back and a space created for commercial zoning in the front, potentially in the future. That's not going to go in right away, but that could be years off. But this kind of thinking ahead is absolutely critical for generating wealth in St. Stephen. And then the other one was a variance at 214 Ledge Road. It's right here in the report. The owner of a business to develop a repair shop. Technically, they would be required to install trees or fencing along the neighboring property line between any commercial activity or business activity on a property. But these neighbors get along, and together they applied for a variance and said, we don't need that. And so it didn't go in. Neighbors working together, very heartwarming story right here in the nitty gritty of a variance report. The other thing about adding public wealth, community wealth. So this is what's great. If you want to see if we are adding wealth, remember our property assessments are about $800 million throughout the municipal district of St. Stephen. So when you see the Southwest Service Commission's report, you can see if we are adding wealth. And in this case, $5 million year to date. It often talks about in this period, if you look at the other report, more detailed on another page, this period, a certain amount of new construction value is added, and then of course there's the year to date. So $5,200,000 in new construction value to date, and important to note that a lot of that is the foundation for the dock apartments, and that's just the foundation. So the superstructure will then be approved, a building permit, and then the value of that, the superstructure, you can imagine how much more that will be valued at, will be added in the future. So again, when you think of the dock apartment, when you think about development, this is the kind of thing where that adds to our tax base, the warrant, and that helps all of us keep taxes low. If we want to keep taxes low, I'm going to make more videos about this in the coming weeks, we do need to see this intensification and maximum value per acre, you could say, on a lot. So all that good work is being done. I hope to be able to continue this as your mayor. All right, we'll finish off the committee of the whole meeting tomorrow, I think. In the meantime, buildupststephen.ca. That is my website where you can watch all my videos and catch up on my priorities, my commitments, the action plan that I want to follow to help you understand as mayor. Thanks, friends. Build up yourself today and take care of your neighbor as we build up St. Stephen together. We'll talk tomorrow. Cheers.